You sleep worse than a human who died 200,000 years ago. No mattress, no pillow, no blackout curtains, no white noise machine, no melatonin gummy, and they still outslept you. Here's the proof. In 2015, a research team from UCLA wired up 94 people across 3 hunter-gatherer societies. The Hadza of Tanzania, the San of Namibia, the Tsimane of Bolivia. No electricity, no clocks, no alarms. The results ran in current biology. Average sleep, 5.7 to 7.1 hours a night. That's the whole number, less than the 8 hours you've been told you're failing to hit every night of your life. For context, you probably spend longer than that in bed. You're just not asleep for most of it. And here's the part that should bother you. Chronic insomnia was close to absent in all 3 groups. 2 of those languages don't carry a common everyday word for it. They slept less than you. They slept better than you. But hold on. How would anyone know how a person slept 200,000 years ago? Fair question. Sleep doesn't fossilize. There's no skeleton buried with a fitness tracker, no cave painting of a guy hitting snooze. The answer comes from grass. Burned, flattened, microscopic grass, pressed into cave floors and sealed under dirt for 2,000 centuries. Archaeologists dug it out and identified it down to the plant family, and it rewrote the whole picture of primitive sleep. Because these people were not lying on bare rock, they were building beds. Border Cave, South Africa. 200,000 years ago. Researchers from the University of the Witwatersrand found grass compressed into the cave floor. Broad-leafed species from the Panicoidea subfamily, cut outside, carried in, and laid down in the same spot over and over. Published in Science in 2020. The oldest bedding ever found on Earth. But the grass isn't the clever part. What's underneath it is. The bedding sat directly on top of ash deposits. That's not laziness. Ash is a pesticide. Fine particles clog the breathing structures of crawling insects and dry them out. Ticks, mites, beetles. They avoid a thick ash bed if they have any other option. So the first bed in human history shipped with pest control built into the base layer. And it was maintained. Grass goes brittle. Somebody recut it, recarried it, replaced it on a schedule for long enough to leave a signature in the floor. Now jump forward, 77,000 years ago. Sibudu Cave, also in South Africa. Border Cave had a grass layer on ash. Sibudu had an entire system. Excavators found more than 15 separate bedding layers, stacked inside a sediment sequence 3 meters deep. That's 9.8 feet of compressed sleeping history. Sedge, rushes, grasses. Each layer pressed flat by bodies, then rebuilt by the next group to walk in. And on top of the matting, aromatic leaves. Species chosen because the compounds they release when crushed repel insects. A base layer, a mattress layer, and a scented top sheet whose job was keeping bugs off your face while you were unconscious. That's 77,000 years ago. Before farming, before writing, before the wheel. But making the bed wasn't the impressive part. What they did to it next was, they burned it. Around 73,000 years ago at Sibudu, the bedding was deliberately set on fire and then rebuilt. The sediment shows the cycle in stripes. Charred plant matter, fresh plant matter, charred again. That's not a fire that got out of hand. That's housekeeping. Burn the old bed. Kill whatever's living in it. Lay fresh grass on the clean ash. Sleep. The practice intensified around 58,000 years ago. Burn events get more frequent, more systematic. Archaeologists read that as a shift in settlement strategy. Bigger groups, longer stays. And when you stay longer, parasites stop being an annoyance and become a survival problem. Picture what that looked like. Gray smoke curling along a cave ceiling. The smell of burning sedge, sharp and green, then bitter. Ash still warm underfoot. Someone walking in from the tree line with an armload of fresh rushes, dropping them onto the clean surface. That's what making the bed looked like. Now move north. Abric Romani, Spain. Roughly 55,000 years before present. Mousterian territory. And in one sleeping zone, excavators mapped 5 separate combustion areas. 5 hearths in the space where people slept. The spacing is the story. Approximately 1 meter apart. Consistently. That's not random fire. That's a floor plan. Individual heat sources, spaced for individual sleepers, so everyone gets warmth without piling on top of each other. 5 low fires throwing overlapping rings of orange light. Shadows moving on the wall every time somebody rolls over. A bedroom, 55,000 years old. Then Ohalo 2, in Israel. 23,000 years ago. Preserved because it was submerged at the edge of the Sea of Galilee, where waterlogged mud saves plant material that would otherwise rot in a season. Inside the brush hut floors, archaeologists found bunches of grass stems and leaves laid out in repeating patterns, arranged around a central hearth. Not a heap, a pattern. Same bunching, same orientation, repeated across the floor. The earliest structured ground bedding ever found inside a built dwelling. Fire in the middle, sleeping surfaces radiating out like spokes. So now we have beds. pest control, heating, a floor plan. Which means the real question was never whether ancient humans slept well, it's why they were sleeping so strangely. Here's the number that flips this entire video: 18 minutes. In 2017, researchers published a study in Proceedings of the Royal Society B. They monitored a Hadza camp, more than 30 people, across 20 full nights, tracking exactly who was asleep. Across all 20 nights combined, the entire camp was asleep at the same moment for a total of 18 minutes. Not per night. Total. Out of roughly 220 hours of darkness, someone was always awake. Always. Nobody organized it. Nobody took shifts. Older adults drifted off early and woke early. Younger adults stayed up late. The overlap covered the whole night by accident. Researchers call it the Sentinel Hypothesis, a working night watch, assembled out of nothing but ordinary variation in when people get tired, which reframes everything you just watched. The grass, the ash, the hearths a meter apart. None of it was built for one person chasing 8 uninterrupted hours. It was built for a group that was never fully unconscious. Waking at 3 a.m. wasn't a malfunction. In a camp of 30, that was your shift. Light sleeping wasn't a disorder. It was the alarm system. You didn't inherit broken sleep. You inherited group sleep, and then you started doing it alone. So what does this mean for you tonight? Go back to where we started. You are not losing to these people on hours. They averaged 5.7 to 7.1. You're probably in that same range. You're losing on everything wrapped around the sleep. Those 3 groups stayed awake up to 4 hours after sunset. 4 hours of low light, talking, eating, sitting near a fire doing very little. Firelight sits at the warm orange end of the spectrum, the signal your body has read as day is over for 100,000 years. Your ceiling bulb and your phone push out something closer to 6,500 Kelvin, blue-white, the exact signal your brain reads as noon. They got a 4-hour runway into darkness. You get a hard cut from a lit screen to a black room, then lie there confused about why your brain won't land. They also let the season move the schedule. Among the San, afternoon naps happened on 22% of warm summer days and only 7% of cold winter days. Same people, same camp, different sleep depending on light and heat. You run the identical 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. block in July and in December and call it discipline. And the beds? Grass on ash, aromatic leaves on top, burned and rebuilt when they got dirty. A surface engineered for one job, keeping things off you while you're unconscious. Meanwhile, you're on a mattress that cost more than a used car, and you still can't fall asleep. Because the mattress was never the variable. The wind down was, the light was, the other people were. You've optimized the bed and deleted everything around it. Before you go, I want one thing from you. What time did you wake up last night? Not what time your alarm went off. What time you actually opened your eyes in the dark and checked your phone. Put it in the comments, just the time, nothing else. Because I want to see how many of you are still standing a 3 a.m. watch for a camp that stopped existing 200,000 years ago. I'll be reading everyone, and subscribe, because your sleep isn't the only thing you've been told is broken that was working perfectly the whole time.